I knew this was going to take me a little bit longer to finish because I've never made anything this advanced. And as much as I love welt pockets, they almost took me out, but I do love detail. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyla, and if you're one of my returning subscribers, thanks so much for stopping by. You probably remember this oversized blazer that I first started working on earlier this year in my batch cutting video. Well, I had to put it on hold because it was a little bit more involved than I expected it to be, and it worked out for a good reason. I was going to take it to DC, but it was way too hot and humid for it. So I'm finishing it up now, and let me say this. I have a newfound appreciation for the fully lined tailored blazer because it's involved. And my personal goal is to get better and faster at sewing blazers. And this was just my first step in more blazers to come. So without further ado, let's get started, and I'll show you my process of making the Ariadna blazer designed by Viki Sews. All right, so I need to interface this long list of pieces right here, and it's easier for me to just lay them out in order. That way I know that I got them all. But I think I counted about 12 or 13 pieces. It's a lot. Yeah. Okay, so I've got all these pieces interfaced. And I'm down to these last pieces that are the sleeve hem facing, left hem facing for the front, and right hem facing for the back. And I don't think that I have to put these on because I think this is for if you're leaving the jacket edges raw, like here. I'm finishing mine off, so I should be able to just stitch the lining and the outer front and back lapels together and turn that inside out for that soft fold. I don't think I have to do this, but fortunately this is at the end, so I can just add that if I do need to, but I think I may be able to do without, especially since it's oversized too. And it may not be quite as long as what's pictured on the model here. Whew, that was a lot of pieces, y'all. It's gonna be nice, but yeah. It has been a while since I've done a blazer, and it was not like this. This is the fusible woven interfacing that I had to order from Fabric Wholesale Direct. And this is just to give a little bit more body to the front lapel pieces, the side pieces, and the back. So once I attach those, then I can move on to the Fabric Bond fusible webbing strips. And then that should be the last of adhering interfacing to all the pieces of the blazer. I'm only applying the strips of straight grain interfacing to the lapel roll line, and I'm going to do it on the back flap, on the back part of the jacket. If I had more time, I would do the rest, but I got to get this moving along and need to start sewing. Here are the darts in place on both sides of the front lapels. I've got my slash opening that I close back up with some fusible interfacing tape according to the instructions. And here is the welt pocket starting to come in place. I think this is what the pattern is calling for. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but I think it's coming back to me. So we'll see. All right. Woo! Okay, it's coming together. I can see it now. I may have to take off a little bit of bulk in the corners, but I think once I press this up and then top stitch, it's gonna look good. Yay! Whew. See, the more you do these types of things, the better you get. So blazers are definitely on my list of getting better at. Okay, now that I've got the welt pocket done on the chest, these are all the moving parts for the side two pockets at the bottom. So I'm going to start with attaching the top flap to the bottom flap lining and then work my way from there over to making the welts. All right, I'm starting to see the vision now, and I'm a little bit more confident since that first welt pocket turned out really well. This is actually my second fitting because the first time I tried this on, I didn't have the sleeves attached. And I'm loving the length where they hit. I do have the shoulder pads placed in here. They're just resting in there. And I'm definitely going to have to put self fabric for the sleeve head. So yeah, because I can tell right now, I'm just going to want it to sit up a little bit better. And right now it's just too flimsy because this fabric is very lightweight. But other than that, I'm loving how it's coming out. And yeah, those pockets were worth it, but they're looking good. And that was the goal. All right, I'm at the point of attaching the collar, and I put the front and back of the collar pieces together like the instructions instructed to do. And I'm wondering if that would have been easier to put this together separately, like attach the one side to the lining and the other side to the outer, but I don't know. I'm just following it as it stated. So this back seam here lines up with the back. I'll pin this in place and then stitch my way around to the corner edge here. Let me take a look at a blazer to see if I'm on the right track. Okay, here's a blazer that I've had for some years, and let's see. Okay, all right. Seam here, it's understitched and attached. Okay, and then for the lining, there's that facing piece here. Okay, all right, I am going in the right direction. When in doubt, look at a garment that you already have that's similar. This is the sleeve hem facing for leaving the bottoms of the sleeve a raw edge. But since I'm finishing mine off, I decided to add it to the lining. And if I had thought about it ahead of time, I would have cut the lining a little bit longer so that I wouldn't even have to do this. But I just want to ensure that there's enough fabric that when I attach the sleeves to the outer, that the sleeve is not too short. My arms are kind of long, even though I'm not that tall. And I don't like jackets or blouses to be above this bone on the wrist. So I want to be sure that I have enough length there. So I'm going to add these on, but for the future, if I make this again, which I probably will, I'll definitely know to extend that lining longer so I can skip this part. I've got both sleeves stitched in place, the outer seam, the inner seam facing on both bottoms, and I've left an opening just big enough for my hand to slide through here for finishing up the inside. And then I'll go back and close that up. I'm going a little bit out of order here because I'm trying to make this less cumbersome for myself. And before I attach the lining to the other side of the collar, I'm going to go in and attach the soft side of this Velcro adhesive fastener here because my shoulder pads are removable. Am I going to take them out? No, but these are the type that I had, so this is what I'm going with. I'm going to attach the soft side right along the seam allowance here. That way, when I finish and put the lining on it, I won't have to go back in and try to finagle stitching this on such a tight area. I'm just going to make a stitch on each side of the fastener tape. This wasn't included in the instructions, but I'm going to add a hang loop at the base of the neckline of the facing. And just to give me that little extra assurance if I have to hang this up on a hanger or something and I don't want it to fall, like they have on this blazer here. Okay, this back vent is throwing me for a loop a little bit, and I followed the instructions, and I think I connected it like they specify, but it just doesn't seem to be working out like I normally do them. This side, which is the left, which should be on the front, looking at it from the outer, I feel like this lining should be over here attached. And then this back vent is positioned like so, and then you make that stitch gathering all 4 pieces, the 2 sides of the lining and the 2 sides of the front. But I followed what these images give here, and I don't know, they're just throwing me off. So I think I'm going to take that apart and just do it like I normally do, because this is the end result that you should have. So, yep. Well, I'm glad I caught it before I got too far. Here's an inside view of the outer fabric attached to the lining and facing. And you see that I stitched all the way around. And then here it is complete. Next time I make this jacket, I definitely know to bring the lining down a little bit further. That way I won't have to use the facing to make up for that excess. But it's very nice and neat, and you can't even tell that the facing is in there. Okay, so I'm at the point of placing the sleeve heads on the wrong side of the sleeve cap, and I'm pinning them in place. And I am a little confused that they have 1 shown here, but here it looks like 3 layers. I'm not sure. I'm just doing 1 because this fabric is very lightweight, and I think that's all that I'll need. Here's what I have so far. I've got them pinned around each one. The instructions say to hand stitch them in place close to the seam, but I left a good amount of the seam allowance in place. So I'm just going to stitch in that seam allowance for each one, and that should be fine. I'm not going to take the time to hand stitch it. And I highly doubt that when these blazers are being made by fast fashion and even some of the luxury houses, that they're probably just machine stitching those in place. I don't think they're taking the time because they want to get that garment out to the market as quick as possible. Okay, so you all know that I like to test out a buttonhole before I actually put on the garment. So these buttons are 1 1/8 inch in width, and I'm just going to use this extra piece here as my sample guide to just do a basic buttonhole with probably not the squared off sides at the ends, but maybe a straight angle on one side and then a curve, almost like a light bulb on the other end. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully it'll turn out right on the first try. Okay, this is how the back flap should overlap. Now all I need to do is just press this flat and then top stitch on the outside at an angle and get rid of some of that bulkiness underneath in between the lining. As I got into the many pieces involved in making this blazer, with interfacing on top of interfacing on top of more interfacing, along with adding that 5/8 inch seam allowance because I didn't want the raw edges, I knew this was going to take me a little bit longer to finish. But I pushed myself and I love the outcome. And I've never made anything this advanced before. Will I make this again? Absolutely. Am I excited to make more blazers in the future? Absolutely. I'm so glad that I had the pants already done because this was a lot more than I intended it to be. And the pattern that I chose for the pants is just a simple, straight cut fit, no waistband, zipper on the side. So if you want to check those pants out, I have a video for those that I made earlier back in the spring. Well, that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for stopping by, and let me know in the comments if you are an intermediate sewist and you're ready to jump into something advanced, or if you're at the beginner stage and you're ready to jump into something intermediate. What are you guys making? What personal goals do you have for yourself? I'd be very interested to know. Well, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks again for stopping by. Take care. Bye, everyone.